This moment came together completely by accident. Elvis Presley stopped by Sun's studio while Carl Perkins was in the middle of a session, and Sam Phillips instantly knew something special was happening, calling in the press to capture it. Johnny Cash later said he mostly watched quietly before heading out, but the chemistry in that small room turned into one of the most legendary glimpses of early rock and roll. Long before Ed Sullivan, they were still just teenagers playing family events. Here are John, Paul, and a 14-year-old George at a wedding reception in early 1958, one of the earliest known color photographs of the trio who would soon become the Beatles and quietly start reshaping modern music. Bill Haley didn't look like a typical early rocker, but he helped bring the new sound into American homes. With Rock Around the Clock, he opened the door for the groups who would soon reshape the decade, proving that rock and roll could speak to every generation. Two pioneers standing side by side. Bill Haley brought rock and roll to the mainstream, while Little Richard gave it a bold, unmistakable personality. This 1956 moment captures the passing of the torch as the new sound began taking its own shape. The genius meets the prodigy. In 1962, a young Stevie Wonder, barely 12, was introduced to his hero, Ray Charles, during a Motown visit. Early on, the label promoted Stevie as a natural successor, but it didn't take long before he stepped into a sound and legacy entirely his own. Backstage in Memphis, 1956. Two Sun Records originals sharing a laugh and a moment of calm. Johnny Cash and Elvis admired each other deeply, and Cash became well known among musicians for his playful, spot-on impressions of Elvis's stage moves, always delivered with affection. Before the world knew rock and roll, Sister Rosetta Tharpe was already shaping it. In the 1940s, she mixed gospel roots with a bold electric guitar sound, influencing everyone from early bluesmen to the first wave of rock pioneers. Her fingerprints are on the entire genre. In 1965, before the world knew Pink Floyd, the group played college parties under the name The Tea Set. A name clash at a gig led Syd Barrett to improvise a new one, inspired by bluesmen Pink Anderson and Floyd Council, and rock history changed right there on the spot. In 1976, Frampton Comes Alive turned Peter Frampton into one of the biggest names in the world. He's holding the famous Phoenix Les Paul, a guitar thought lost for decades after a cargo plane accident, only to be unexpectedly returned to him nearly 30 years later. Led Zeppelin at the LA Forum in 1973, a band operating with total confidence. This was the era captured in The Song Remains the Same, with Zeppelin touring the US as one of the era's most commanding live acts, shaping what the modern arena show would become. Lennon turned his Rolls-Royce into a full psychedelic canvas in 1967, a move that shocked the old guard. The bold design became one of the era's most talked-about symbols, showing just how far the cultural shift between generations had grown. A rare, calm moment before one of rock's most legendary nights. At Monterey Pop in '67, The Who and Jimi Hendrix delivered performances so intense and theatrical that the festival instantly became part of music history, marking a new era of showmanship. Still known as David Jones in 1966, Bowie was experimenting with theater, mime, and performance art. These influences would soon merge into the visionary stagecraft that defined Ziggy Stardust and every reinvention that followed. Queen in 1978 carried the confidence of a band built for the biggest stages. As they prepared to tour behind jazz, They celebrated with a New Orleans launch party so elaborate that it became part of the band's larger-than-life reputation. Another example of how boldly they lived during this era. A remarkable late chapter in Johnny Cash's story. In 1996, Rick Rubin brought Cash together with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, creating sessions that blended tradition with a new spark. Cash recorded unexpected material, welcomed fresh interpretations, and earned renewed acclaim across the music world. Soundgarden in 1990 represented the early foundation of the Seattle movement. Their heavy, dynamic sound and early signing to a major label helped open doors for the wave of alternative rock that would soon follow. The Who, in 1967, at the center of London's mod movement. Pete Townshend's Union Jack jacket wasn't a custom stage design, it was something he simply picked up in a shop. It soon became one of the most recognizable looks of the era, tied to the band's bold and unmistakable style. A landmark moment from the 1988 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, Bruce Springsteen inducting Bob Dylan. Springsteen honored him with the famous line, "Bob freed your mind the way Elvis freed your body," capturing the deep influence Dylan had on an entire generation. A rare meeting of two major voices of the era. Jimi Hendrix, who was deeply interested in photography and film, captured this candid backstage moment with Janis Joplin in 1968. It's a brief, genuine glimpse of two artists whose influence would echo long after their time. Miami, February 1964. The Beatles met the charismatic young boxer then known as Cassius Clay. Though the meeting was arranged quickly, the playful photo shoot that followed became one of the most recognizable cultural snapshots of the decade. A rare look at Slash before his signature style was fully formed. In the mid-1980s, he found a top hat shortly before a show and added it to his stage look. The image stuck instantly, becoming one of rock's most enduring visual trademarks. New York, 1973. Alice Cooper meets Salvador Dali, a perfect collision of theatrical rock and surrealist art. Dali was so fascinated by Cooper's stage persona that he created a 3D holographic portrait, one of the earliest artistic works of its kind. Two of the greatest performers of the modern era. In the early 80s, Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson recorded several tracks together, a pairing fans still talk about. The sessions drifted off for a mix of creative and personal reasons, including Michael's habit of bringing his llama to the studio, but what they captured remains legendary. The Doors in Germany, 1968. They look collected here, but the European tour was full of unpredictable moments. At one show in Amsterdam, Jim Morrison became unable to perform, and the band carried the concert themselves, a reminder of how much they relied on their bond to get through challenging nights on the road. The Rolling Stones on their 1981 Tattoo You tour, one of the biggest productions of the decade. On stage, Mick and Keith moved with complete confidence. Offstage, their working relationship was going through one of its more challenging periods, shaping the sound and direction of the band in the years ahead. Jimi Hendrix in 1968, fully absorbed in the Electric Ladyland sessions. The studio was where he felt most at home, endlessly refining ideas and experimenting with sound. His pursuit of the perfect take pushed everyone around him to new creative heights. Ozzy Osbourne in 1970, the year Black Sabbath introduced a new, heavier sound that would reshape rock. Before fame, he'd placed a simple newspaper ad reading, "Ozzy Zig needs gig," a modest beginning for someone about to reshape an entire genre. Aboard the Starship, around 1973, John Bonham, Jimmy Page, and their towering manager, Peter Grant. Grant reshaped the entire business of touring, negotiating deals that set new standards for artists' rights and ensuring Zeppelin were compensated according to their enormous drawing power. Stevie Nicks in 1977, during the landmark Rumors era. The crystal ball from the album's photo shoot wasn't a personal object, just a studio prop, but the imagery struck a chord. Fans embraced it instantly, helping shape the mystical aura that became central to her stage presence. Thin Lizzy in 1974, during their powerful trio era. Their logo, soon to become one of rock's most recognizable emblems, was crafted by Irish artist Jim Fitzpatrick. His Celtic-inspired design matched Phil Lynnett's vision perfectly, blending mythology with the band's bold, heartfelt rock sound. Nirvana performing at Rough Trade Records in 1990, a small show that captured the band just before everything shifted. Within months, the lineup would solidify with the arrival of Dave Grohl, setting the stage for one of the defining breakthroughs in modern rock. A rare calm between two longtime bandmates. Their relationship was famously volatile, with clashes both on and off the stage. This photo from their 1982 farewell tour catches a brief moment of harmony in a partnership that shaped The Who's legacy. A snapshot that only 1988 could produce. Paul Stanley, Billy Squier, a pop star, and Mike Tyson, all crossing paths at the limelight. At this moment, Tyson wasn't just boxing's heavyweight champion, he was one of the most recognizable figures on the planet. The defining punk rock photograph. Shot for their debut album, this wasn't the original concept. The band rejected an earlier posed session. They chose this raw, street-level image instead, perfectly matching the sound that changed rock forever. The early days of Alice Cooper's signature look. His iconic eye makeup began as a simple experiment that went wrong. The smeared lines ended up creating the dramatic stage persona that became instantly recognizable. The early Red Hot Chili Peppers, 1987. This photo captures the band just before a major turning point. Within a year, their lineup would shift, setting the stage for the era that eventually carried them to global success. The Ultimate Rock and Roll Partnership, 1982. After Ozzy's split from Black Sabbath, it was Sharon who stepped in with a bold plan. She took charge of his solo career, trusted his talent, and together they built one of the most successful dynasties in modern music. Angus Young on AC/DC's first UK tour. The schoolboy uniform that became his trademark wasn't the first costume he tried. There had been a gorilla suit and even a Spider-Man outfit. But this look struck the perfect balance of humor, attitude, and raw electricity. Brian May, Queen's guitar wizard and a scholar at heart. Long before the stadiums, he began pursuing a PhD in astrophysics, work he put on pause for the band. Decades later, he returned to it and completed his dissertation, proving that science and rock can share the same stage. A one-of-a-kind backstage meeting. Keith Richards, James Brown, and John Belushi. Belushi, a devoted fan of both music legends, was filming a TV piece that day, finding himself between the godfather of soul and one of rock's most enduring guitarists. Keith Richards in 1973 with his Dan Armstrong plexiglass guitar. The clear body wasn't a gimmick, it had a sharp, cutting tone perfect for his slide playing, giving songs like Midnight Rambler their unmistakable bite during the Stones' classic era. Stevie Ray Vaughan in 1983, right as his rise was beginning. After playing guitar on David Bowie's Let's Dance, he was offered a massive world tour. Instead, he chose to focus on his own band, a bold decision that set him on the path to becoming a blues icon. On the set of Taxi Driver in 1976, the film's unforgettable score was composed by Bernard Herrmann, the legendary maestro behind Hitchcock's greatest films. He completed his work on Taxi Driver the very night he passed away, leaving the world with one final masterpiece. Joan Jett in London, right after the Runaways split. It was here she first recorded I Love Rock and Roll with musicians from the Sex Pistols. Every major label turned the song down, so she released it herself and turned it into a global hit. A powerhouse trio backstage in 1984. Dickie Betts was between chapters with the Allman Brothers, Johnny Winter was enjoying a major resurgence, and Brian Setzer was leading a full rockabilly revival. 3 different paths, one shared language, the guitar. Nirvana in Seattle on Halloween night, 1991. This show became a turning point. Backstage, they learned Nevermind had officially gone gold. That news landed like a lightning bolt. This was the night they realized everything had changed. The Experience in 1967, bathed in full psychedelic color. This was the American release photo for their debut album, a deliberate move after rejecting the plainer UK cover. They wanted visuals bold enough to match the revolution happening in their sound. Duran Duran in 1993, long after critics had dismissed them as an 80s act. Then came Ordinary World, a mature, heartfelt ballad that stunned the industry and reignited their global career. It marked one of rock's most unexpected and respected comebacks. 2 drummers who reshaped the sound of rock, caught in a rare moment together. Bonham and Moon shared a friendship built on wild humor and late-night stories, and it was Moon's own offhand joke about a lead balloon that helped inspire the name Led Zeppelin. A snapshot of 2 forces of nature at ease. Keith Richards holding his custom Zimatis guitar, Macabre. This period marked a turning point for him, a moment of renewed focus and creativity. With that distinctive instrument in hand, he was stepping back into the spotlight with the confidence of someone who'd weathered every storm.